Is there a biblical zombie deception? It seems that everywhere we turn, there are zombies. Look at this guy right here. They're in our movies, our TV shows, video games. They're literally everywhere. And they've been around for quite a long time. In today's culture, though, the fascination with zombies is at an all-time high. Why are we so obsessed with zombies? Is there a subliminal deception going on when it comes to this zombie trend? What does the Bible have to say on zombies, if anything? Well, let's take the last question about the zombies first. It's hard to tell if there are any clear passages in the Bible that deal directly with zombies. But I think there is at least one passage in the Bible that might indicate a zombie-like presence. And that's in the Old Testament in the book of Joel. And in Joel chapter 2, verses 1 through 11, it says this: "Blow ye the trumpet in Zion, and sound an alarm in my holy mountain. Let all the inhabitants of the land tremble, for the day of the Lord cometh, for it is nigh at hand, a day of darkness and of gloominess, a day of clouds and of thick darkness, as the morning spread upon the mountains. A great people and a strong, there hath not been ever the like, neither shall be any more after it, even to the years of many generations. A fire devoureth before them, and behind them a flame burneth. The land is as the Garden of Eden before them, and behind them a desolate wilderness, yea, and nothing shall escape them. The appearance of them is as the appearance of horses, and as horsemen so shall they run. Like the noise of chariots on the tops of mountains shall they leap. Like the noise of a flame of fire that devoureth the stubble, as a strong people set in battle array. Before their face the people shall be much pained. All faces shall gather blackness. They shall run like mighty men. They shall climb the wall like men of war. They shall march every one on his ways, and they shall not break their ranks. Neither shall one thrust another. They shall walk every one in his path. And when they fall upon the sword, they shall not be wounded. They shall run to and fro in the city. They shall run upon the wall. They shall climb upon the houses. They shall enter in at the windows like a thief. The earth shall quake before them. The heavens shall tremble. The sun and the moon shall be dark, and the stars shall withdraw their shining. And the Lord shall utter his voice before his army, for his camp is very great. For he is strong that executeth his word. For the day of the Lord is great and very terrible, and who can abide it?" So traditionally, this passage has been interpreted one of two ways. People either think this is talking about the locusts in chapter 1 of Joel, or that it's talking about the supernatural locust-like beings in Revelation chapter 9. Now, in my opinion, I think this passage is something new and unique all its own, and that it's not referring to either the locusts or the supernatural locust-like creatures in Revelation chapter 9. And there are reasons for this. First off, if you go to Revelation chapter 9 verse 4, it says this: "And it was commanded them that they should not hurt the grass of the earth, neither any green thing, neither any tree, but only those men which have not the seal of God in their foreheads." So by that verse, you can actually see that the army in Joel chapter 2 is different than the beings that are being talked about in Revelation chapter 9. And the reason being is that if you go to Joel chapter 2 verse 3, it says, "A fire devoureth before them, and behind them a flame burneth. The land is as the Garden of Eden before them, and behind them a desolate wilderness, yea, and nothing shall escape them." So the army in Joel chapter 2 is definitely turning the land into a desert, from a Garden of Eden into a desolate place. Whereas the beings in Revelation chapter 9 are not supposed to hurt any green thing. So these are two different groups of people, it seems. I also don't think that the army in Joel chapter 2 is the locusts in Joel chapter 1, because the description of the army is different than what we might think of a description of regular locusts. The army in Joel chapter 2 is running and leaping and climbing, but locusts normally are flying. Probably the most interesting verse for me is Joel chapter 2 verse 8, where it says, "Neither shall one thrust another, they shall walk every one in his path, and when they fall upon the sword, they shall not be wounded." That to me sticks out as kind of a zombie-like quality. Now the difference is that these beings seem to not be able to die at all, whereas the zombies in the movies get shot in the head, and that's how they die, not these beings. What's more interesting is that the word sword in that verse doesn't actually mean sword. In Hebrew, it actually means missile or dart. So it's talking about some kind of projectile coming at these beings. Now, if this army was just locusts, like it is in Joel chapter 1, just bugs, I don't think we would be talking about people trying to kill them with projectiles, whether it be a spear or a dart or a rock or whatever. You're not going to throw a rock at a swarm of locusts and expect to do anything. But it seems in this passage, though, that the people that are trying to defend themselves seem to think that they might actually be able to hurt these people by projecting something onto them, whether it be a spear or a dart or maybe a bullet. It seems that if this is actually a future prophecy, that this is talking about a people that have been deceived by maybe a lot of zombie propaganda, thinking that, you can kill a zombie by shooting it in the head. And then you actually come face to face with these beings, and you shoot them in the head, and they don't die. They just keep coming. Maybe that's part of the deception in this whole zombie phenomenon. So maybe one of the purposes for this zombie propaganda that we find ourselves wrapped up in is to prepare the culture for a future time. A time where you might think that, you can have an arsenal of artillery prepared and ready to fight the zombie apocalypse, and you find that, you shoot these things and they don't die at all. It's not anything like you thought. And now you're just wasting your time and you've just doomed yourself. That might seem cool or whatever if that was in a movie. But if this is reality, if this actually happens, it's going to be pretty terrifying. And you're probably not going to want to go through it. In today's culture, everything that we listen to and watch is all wrapped up in death. We can't get away from it. All of our movies, TV shows, video games, it's all about, killing each other, basically. And most of this is really our own fault. I mean, look at our holidays. Take Halloween. That's just a day set aside so that you can be surrounded by death. That's all it is. If you look at the costumes, the music, anything, it's all about death and celebrating that death and being surrounded and engulfed in that death. But you take other holidays that were at one time dedicated to Jesus, and those aren't cool anymore unless you take Jesus right out of them. Because I would rather have presents or chocolate eggs than eternal life. If you weigh out the three options between presents, chocolate eggs, and eternal life is down the list, right? Well, it is in our culture. We would much rather have death. That's more cool, it's more fun to watch and participate in than anything to do with eternal life. And people seem to forget that they're gonna die someday. That seems to escape people. People want to try to start preparing for the zombie apocalypse, but guess what? Even if you could defend yourself against the zombies, you're gonna die eventually anyway. What happens then? Jesus said, "I am the way, the truth, and the life." He brings life. And without that, we're actually kind of walking zombies right now. If you don't have that in your life, then you're spiritually dead. And maybe that's why we think that it's really cool to decapitate someone in a video game, but Jesus is really not cool. Maybe it's because without him, we are walking zombies and that we only have a fascination with death, even though we're deathly afraid of our own death. And that's why we do all the things we do in life, is to avoid the fact that we're going to die. We don't want to think about it. So we just surround ourselves with everything we can, including death itself. And in thinking about this, it seems to me that you really have three options when it comes down to it. The first option is to just keep going as normal. Just navigate your way within the over-medicated, drugged out, zombie-like Walking Dead culture that we have right now, where we just enjoy watching people kill each other off, and we just exist within a culture that kills itself off. The second option is to get beat to death by the zombie-like beings in the last days that we were talking about in Joel chapter 2. The way the world is right now, it seems that we are on the verge of the end of the last days. So we might be at that time where these beings are revealed, and then you get to deal with them. I don't think I want to deal with them. And the third option is to just ask Jesus into your life. And instead of the first two options, you get eternal life. You get eternal joy forever. I mean, without him, you're just left to the mercy of the world, slipping into oblivion. And deep down, you know it. You know that you're just avoiding your own mortality. But that's going to come upon you one way or another. It could be 50 years from now, or it could be tomorrow. So why don't you make the decision today? Go after the way, the truth, and the life. You might find that the way to the truth does mean life, and that we need to listen when the truth speaks.